Hi everyone, welcome to Lesson 5 of DeTech Theory's Introduction to Computer Science course. My name is Usindara Bakchi and today we're going to be learning about strings. So what exactly are strings? We've learned about this before in a previous lesson, but just to recap, strings are essentially sequences of characters that are mostly used to store sentences, but can also store separate letters, numbers, etc. We have to note that numbers stored in a string variable cannot be used for arithmetic functions. These are stored in an int variable. Now we go on to string methods. There are many string methods in Java. Over here I've only listed a few which are very important. So let's look at them. So if we start off with a precondition, string x equals to hey and string y equals to hello, and then we look at the string methods in that context. For example, the first one, car at. Car at returns the character at a specific index or position. For example, x.car2 would return the character y, which means that if you look at x and if you look at the first index, index 0 is h, index 1 is e, and index 2 is y. So it returns what is at index 2, that is y, as a character. Then we look at compared to or compared to ignore case. So compared to does something called a lexicographic comparison. That is, it compares and returns the numeric difference between the first difference between the two strings. If they are the same, it returns 0. This number can be negative based on what two values you're comparing. For example, let's look at x compared to y. This returns 13. And how do we know that? Because if you look at the two strings, the first difference is when y and l occurs. So since it's x compared to y, what we're going to do is take y minus l. And how do we know what y minus l is? So we can do this by taking their ASCII values, or simply the fact that L is the 12th letter of the alphabet and Y is the 25th letter of the alphabet. So if we go Y minus L, that is 25 minus 12, we get 13. And now we have something called equals or equals ignore case. What this simply does is that it checks if the two strings are exactly the same, and then it just returns a true or false statement. For example, x dot equals y would return false because hey and hello are two different strings. Okay, so now we have a few more string methods. Again, we have the same preconditions, except we have a newer precondition, which is called test, which is the word test with a few white spaces before and after. So let's look at the index of method. The index of method returns the position of the first found occurrence of specified characters in a string. For example, y.index of L would return 2, because in the string y, the letter L appears for the first time at index 2. Now, last index of works very similarly to index of, but it just returns the last occurrence instead of the first occurrence of something. For example, let's go y.last index of L. Now, this will return 3 because the first occurrence of L is at index 2, but the last occurrence of L in this particular string, it is index 3. So that's what we're going to return. Now we have the two lowercase or the two uppercase methods. Now what this does is simply just converts the string to a lowercase or uppercase. For example, if you take x.lowercase, this would return hey in all lowercase letters. And if you go y.uppercase, it would return hello in all uppercase letters like this here. Now we go into a different method called trim. What trim does is just simply removes the white spaces from the two ends of a string, so you just have the string in itself. For example, k.trim would just return the word tests without any spaces before or after. Now we go on to substrings. Substrings are very important in our understanding of strings. It is essentially extracting a small part of a longer string as a separate, shorter string. If you look at the syntax, we see that there are two ways of taking substrings. One is just to include the index from which we start extracting, and the other is to include both the start and ending index. We must note here that the end index applied is not included in the substring. That is, it will only include it till the previous index. To make things a little clearer, let's look at an example. So over here, string x equals apple. Then x dot substring 2. So what we do is we start at the index 2. So let's go 0, 1, 2. So we start here and we go all the way to the end. So the new substring will now just contain P, L, and E. Then we go on to x dot substring 0, 3. And remember we said about the last ending index not being included. So what will only be included in this particular substring is the indexes 0, 1, and 2. So let's go here, index 0, 1, and 2. So the substring will contain APP. Now we go on to string length. Being able to find the length of the string is very important, and this is done through the dot length method. What this does is it returns the length of a particular string, including any white spaces that may be included. What we have to note, though, is that unlike indexes, the length starts at 1 instead of 0. Now let's take a look at an example to make things a little clearer. The string x equals apple, and then string y equals my name's DeTech. So if we go x.length, all it does is count the number of letters in the word apple, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and returns 5. And over here, y.length, it counts the entire length of the sentence here. That is 1, 2, 3, including the white space, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And that's going to be the length of y. Now we go on to some practice problems. So if you look at the preconditions, string test1 equals hello world, string test2 equals tomato, string hi equals yes with a capital Y, and then string hi3 equals yes in all lowercase, and then string hi4 equals hi2 dot lowercase. All right, so let's take a look at these. Test1 dot substring 0, 2 plus test2 dot substring 4. Now let's break this step by step. Test1 dot substring 0, 2, which means we start at 0 and we end at 2. So 0 and 1, because we don't include the last index, and we get the words HE from here. All right, so we keep it, and then we go test2 dot substring 4. What this means is we have to start at index 4. Let's go to test2. Let's go to index 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so now we have to go from 4 all the way to the end. These are the letters T and O. So HE plus T and O would give us heto. There we are. Now we go on to the next one. Test1 dot length. So all we have to do is count the length of the string here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We count the white space, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There we go. Then we go hi3 dot equals hi4. So what this does is just compare this string and this string. So hi2 dot 2 lowercase would give us yes in all lowercase again. So if we compare yes in lowercase to yes in lowercase, it's going to be the same string. So this will equal true. Now we go on to the last one. Hi3 dot compared to hi4. So as we said previously, those are the same strings, right? So, but compared to is not going to return a Boolean value. Instead, it's going to return 0 for the same string. There we go.
Thank you for joining us on today's lesson. I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, or any feedback at all, please contact us at detechtheoryco@gmail.com and visit our website, detechtheory.com. If you have Instagram and are willing to use it, please visit our page at DeTech Theory. We share lots of reels and cool coding tips and tricks as well there. That's it for today, folks. Please like and subscribe. And I hope you come back and look at our other videos on this series as well as more. Have a nice day and happy coding.